Hello. Sorry about that. And the sound guys are like, whoa, easy there. Hello and welcome to another episode of One of those tres, Black Pratt Grads. I'm Greg Claghorn. This is my buddy Kenny Nelson and my buddy Mark Skinner. And we all three graduated from Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York, in the Fine Art Photography program. And we have had our respective careers
Excuse me.
and allergic reactions. And
Yes.
we're here talking about photography. We do this weekly. And if you're interested in photography or just getting into it or an old hat at it, an old salt, just subscribe and ring the bell so you get a notification when we post another episode. Today's episode is my episode, and it is called Fill the Frame. Sound exciting, huh? Not really. Well, being it's St. Patrick's Day, luckily Irish, I wore a little green for you. Be good, huh? You want to kiss me? No. Okay. I haven't shaved. Anyway, hey, none of that. Fill the frame. Now, one of my favorite things to do at times when it presents itself. And do you guys want to introduce yourself? Or you're good? I'll just rattle on.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yes, sir. And um, yeah, I mean, one of the fun things you could do with the in photography, like same thing in any art movement or any art medium, you can either choose to be minimalist and show very few things, which is visually compelling, or you can go the opposite end of the spectrum and capture as much action or subject matter as you can stand. So it's a line of between composition and where's Waldo, that sort of thing, that can make it an interesting topic. So, in the interest of time, we'll just move right along. My first image, let's see, what have I got up first, Mr. Nelson? Is my cross country trip. This was in Utah, if I believe correctly. It's Wyoming or Utah. Where was where is Monument Valley? I think that's Utah.
Utah.
And I was just struck by the orange sandstone. It was everywhere. Actually, I may have picked up a rock or two. Anyway, what I loved about it, it was just everything was this color when once you got out of the vegetation area or past rocks and everything, and this green bush stood in kind of high contrast between the orange, and it was captivating to me. So I framed it with vertically because these peaks were a good 7, 8 stories or 80 feet high, and they caught my interest. But the prevalence of the orange, filled my visual frame, so I wanted to make it fill the camera's frame, and I came up with this composition. Having different shades of darkness. From in the background, it's a light orange. To the foreground, it's a dark orange. But hopefully, I was just trying to lead the eye into the frame, and this is what I captured. I kind of really like that one. Okay, next shot. Unless you
Well,
guys got any
let's
comments,
just
go
let's
ahead.
just talk about filling the frame and what
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
mean by filling the frame and how do you accomplish the task when we look at this image?
Go ahead.
No, you tell me.
Oh, how I fill the frame. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I like leading lines, and if you one of the things I really like to do is to what I call like locking my corners. Like if you see on the lower right, I just enough of that rock in the foreground for it to be in the right corner. So it kind of leads your eye into the image. And similar on the left, but it was a little higher, but the pathway kind of leads you in right into that green thing. But I filled the frame with the closed canyon.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that was filling the frame. You
Okay.
know, there's really no way for the eye to get out of this image. There's
Yeah.
you can't go left, you can't go right,
Yeah.
and for me, it kind of gives you 3 dimensions in 2 dimensions, and for me, that is filling the frame for me.
Right.
Okay.
Now, obviously, this is a much longer than wider image. Did you fill the frame as seen through the camera, or is this something where you created a frame and placed the image in the frame in a way to fill it with information?
Say that again.
This is a vertical
Right.
image. It's
Yeah.
much taller than it is wide.
Correct.
Did you use the full to fill the frame
Uh-huh.
as seen through the camera, or
Right.
did you create a frame and then place the image in the frame that you've created as a part of your finishing?
Not sure I understand you completely,
Did you
but
crop
I
it,
mean,
or
I
did you? Is it just the way you saw it through the camera?
no, this is the way I saw it through the camera. No
Okay.
cropping. But what I was conscious of, because I had an 18 on there, but there was no left and right. I would have had all canvas,
Okay.
canyon wall, and that wasn't as interesting. And what I wanted to emphasize was the height and the breadth of the orange.
Okay.
And the way I did that was to show the orange walkway, because I swear it looked, it just, it, I went from like reality and 3D, regular blue sky and tree earth, to this thing that looked like it was built in the Museum of Natural History. It looked like a diorama. It looked so fake, but it
Hmm.
was, beautifully real. But what you can't get at the museum is the height, because they're constrained to
Yeah.
like 10-foot
Yep.
ceilings.
Yep.
This thing was like 70, 80, 100 feet high. And I wish I could have shown more of that, but I like the composition here because it shows that there is height, but then it shows that it's also the depth forward and the middle ground. It kind of has, the
Yep.
foreground, middle ground, background,
Yeah. Yeah.
all in this compressed canyon space.
Yep.
Oh, I get a sense that there's an archaeological sort of feeling to this. It's very Indiana Jones. You're sort of
Yeah,
wandering
yeah.
wandering through the caverns, and you see this
What is
this
the
this
name of
this
that tree?
foliage,
Yeah.
right? And so I think the three of us are all kind of familiar with the idea of the
Jordan.
burning bush
Yep.
being on the
Yep.
mountain.
Ah,
So
see,
Yep.
I said it
so
with you said it without me saying it. That's
Yep.
exactly
right,
what I was
right.
Yep.
thinking when I
So
saw
the iconography that's etched into our memory
Yep.
is
it. Yeah,
evoked
collective
when
memory.
we
Yeah.
look at this photo.
Yep.
And I think by placing the foliage higher into the frame, you've certainly elevated. If you'd shown more of the wall behind it, you might not have gotten a sense of the grandeur of the foliage in the frame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Agreed. What is the name of that? It's Jordan. It's in Jordan. That monument that's built in stone into the wall. Oh my gosh, it's slipping my mind. Anyway, yeah, but the same color stone, and yeah, and the perspective was intentional, and that's exactly what I thought when I walked. Because you walk through a lot of uh, canyon walls, nothing. All you see is walls,
Yep.
and then it opens up to this, and I was like, ah! I wanted to take my sandals off because I was on holy ground, but I didn't, and I probably should have because I was hearing voices and they spoke to me, but
And they were
I took
basically
my
telling you to take your shoes off.
no, I think it was Beyonce. I just took out my headphones and the voices went away. Uh, okay,
Okay.
next.
Mm-mm.
All right, this one. Um, and it was autumn. We're coming out of or we're actually going into um, winter and such, and I just saw this gate, or it's a walkway, and the gate was over it, and I just loved the backlit autumn colors, and they just kind of popped for me. And I was trying different framings and such, and this is the one I came up with. I enjoyed the sun behind the wrought iron and the deep blue sky, and it again, it went from a, a dimensional depth thing to flat for me, because it was like the canopy seemed, or the gate ironwork seemed more like a cutout, and then the trees in the background, a little bit of green, and it was almost like that guy. I forget his name. Goodness gracious, what's going on with my memory? On the you know, way up in the on the PBS channels, it paints and everything's like, oh, we're going to make a little cloud
Oh,
here.
Bob Ross.
What's Thank you. Just and here we go, a mountain. No, we're gonna do this wrought iron fence. That's what it kind of felt like to me. So the colors didn't scream sky. That's one thing I do like about the California skies. Not many clouds. When there's clouds, there's usually bad weather coming and everybody gets a little nervous. But they have these beautiful, clear blue skies and they flatten out, so you have this just blue, 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 blue on blue. And of course, blue and oranges and reds kind of vibrate, and contrast when they're put together. So this one really worked for me as far as just filling the frame. I wanted that. So what do you guys got? What do you think? Anything? No?
No.
I like the fact that the top of the trellis reminds me of an old fashioned rocket ship, sort of
Ah,
or an airplane, like some sort of aircraft.
Buck
So when I
Rogers.
look, and I know usually when I see that view of trees, there's almost always, because I've heard a plane that sounds like it's closer than it actually is, and I've looked up, or I'm intentionally looking up to take a photograph of the foliage. But otherwise, when I look up, I see, I usually see a plane, and so for me, this evokes the memory of planes, and part of the fantasy of, wouldn't it be really cool to see an aircraft like that just flying under the sun but above the trees, and then the trail it leaves behind would be these these autumn leaves and those streams.
Ah, oh, how cool. Oh, cool. Oh, okay. That puts a whole nother view on it. I like that idea completely. I could see that animated. Yeah. Oh, very cool. Thanks for that, Mark. Very
You're
nice.
welcome.
Okay.
You'll have to go
Uh,
back to the Photoshop episode to realize that vision, but
that's okay. I know some animators. I could. Boy, that actually almost makes me want to do like a children's book. That's a great idea. I could come up
mhm,
with a story for that.
mhm.
Okay. All right. Getting
just
lost in there. Okay.
just throw me
Yeah.
some pennies.
You got it. You got it. Definitely. All right. All right.
I'll
Now,
get two pennies wrapped in paper. In the mail.
good paper, good colored
Good,
paper,
yeah.
the tissue paper.
It'll be Crane's watermarked paper.
That's right. The good stuff, or the expensive rice paper.
You're
All
right.
right, moving right along. Let's. You got something, Kenny? Are you good? Okay, you good? Okay.
I'm good.
Um, this this if there is anything that says Los Angeles, you better believe it's the dang highway. So you want to get somewhere, forget the subway. Ain't definitely ain't New York. And I was just putting along, getting stuck in traffic like everybody else here. And it was just after a storm, winter's changing. So we do get winter. It's not very cold. It's like I call it Cali cold, in the 50s. So you still do the, t-shirts and flip-flops and shorts in December or January. Oh, God, but it's wonderful. Anyway, I got this post-storm and I got the cityscape in the background and it just kind of just kind of hit you in the face. This is LA. Now, this one I was going to crop it up to the tail light so that all you saw was car bumpers and then the cityscape in the background and the sky. But I kind of left this one just to put some grounding. It's kind of a little awkward sometimes if you show a car without its wheels. But I think I could get away with that. But I wanted to fill the frame with, you know, this cityscape, and this is what I came up with.
Well, what's cool about this? I know you say
No,
this is
tell me.
very, to me, you say it's very much California, Southern California. But if you drive along I-95 to Philadelphia,
Uh-huh.
this is very similar to the view of uh, northern
Philly?
Philadelphia.
Okay. Uh, I've done that little drive, but it
Signage
didn't.
that
It didn't hit
signage
me
that's
like this.
yeah. Yeah, it will. I mean, I usually go there we used to go there in the summer quite a bit
Oh,
because there's,
okay. Okay.
because we used to live closer to Philly. But, the palm trees sort of give it away that it's not the East Coast, at least not the
Yeah.
North. They're not the Northeast. And the signage has other words. And then, of course, the skyline's a little different. But that kind of cloud cover is very, very common in the
On the
Mid-Atlantic
East Coast.
states. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be honest, I haven't been on the East Coast in a long time, so you're probably right. I mean, Philly, I could see Philly. Philly has a distinctive skyline.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on the left side, there's no river on the left side. So that's another clue. But the mass of the skyline is very similar.
Okay. Okay. But does it work as a fill the frame example? I kind of like it. I should have cropped it up a little bit more from the bottom.
Well, I
That
mean,
empty road
I think
space.
it does because you're counting the cloud shapes as visual information. I think a
Yeah.
lot of us sort of discount the sky, whether it's the blue you were mentioning earlier, if it's just a blue sky. But this is different, particularly for where you are. It's very different. It has it has all the elements of a different space.
Okay. Okay. All right.
My
That's it
opinion
for
is
me.
my
Joe.
opinion is that you should keep it the way it is and do not crop it anymore in from the bottom. Right now, it's very much a cinematic, maybe 16:9 ratio, maybe even more. So when I look at an image like this, I'm a 35 millimeter sort of format person. So when I look at an image like this, I'm forced to question the framing
Uh,
to switch to a panoramic. So when you tell me it's a panoramic, I start to question whether you filled the frame or whether you just cropped it.
okay.
And so that's what comes to mind when I see images like this photographically. And it's funny because I'm not sure if that happens as a matter of course or just because we're talking about it now here. Because I know that I don't think that way when I'm looking at other things on screen. So,
Uh,
you know,
Well, I think it has to do with the fact that a few of these images have been a panoramic format that isn't, it hasn't been popularized as much as some of the other formats.
mhm.
the panoramic format.
Panoramic
Right.
format. Yeah.
This particular panoramic format is, it's very specific, and it hasn't been as popular. I mean, is this the same as the Xpan? It looks a little different.
I think it's a little different.
It looks like it's a little, in this case, taller, but it looks like the
Yeah.
dimensions
Yeah.
are a little,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Let me see. I think I just shot this. I believe I most definitely cropped it,
Okay.
but
Okay.
not by much.
Okay.
Well, no. Because this was with
It's
the 18 again, and I cropped the hood. I got the hood of my
okay.
car in the
Okay.
shot.
Okay. But here, now see, that's where we have the dilemma.
Where the
Um,
formatting is a question.
yeah, because you're telling us to fill the frame,
Right.
but you're not actually asking us to fill the frame. You're asking us to crop it to our satisfaction, which are
Well,
two different things.
yes, but no. Okay, now if I that was a creative choice that I made
Okay.
because I didn't want that would probably have rounded the image out if I had left the hood of the car in the shot. That would have been
Okay.
full frame.
Okay.
But it wasn't it was for my eye it wasn't clean enough. So
Okay.
I um, cropped out the hood of the car. But
Okay.
yeah, I see your point for sure. Cropping, you can fill the frame with anything if you crop it.
Right. I mean, but that's what we were talking about with abstract. You can just sort of cut away till you get to the abstraction, and most abstractions tend to have edge to edge image.
Yeah.
True, but or you could shoot for the abstraction and fill the frame with the
Yeah.
abstraction.
Which I
I
tend to
mean,
do most of. Yeah.
Right. Same here.
okay, yeah, okay, but yeah, I see what you're saying. But that wasn't my intent with this image. That was just a editorial
Okay.
creative choice to crop the hood of the car. It just didn't work for me.
Okay.
It probably I'll have to revisit that image if it
Well,
because I
certainly
might have
would. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just
Well, I
going
was
to
gonna
say.
say
Go
certainly
ahead.
if the hood of the car in there were in there, I think I would want to know what's going on inside the car that has someone photographing directly in front of the car. What that person's thinking. What are they? I would be more interested in finding out what they're trying to show me specifically. Because usually when you see people on the news, like the passengers hanging out the window photographing something, you'll see that there's something very specific that they're trying to show us rather than just this is what the view from the highway.
Okay. Well,
Right.
something specific. Well, the skyline was the specific thing.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Is
I
that what you
think
mean?
no. Well,
Well, usually something is going on, you
Oh, I
know,
see. Like a
something
fire or
less
accident.
usually. Yeah, usually. I mean, it's very unusual because usually a car scene. Now, I'm not saying it's not good. It's good. It's just that I know I'm accustomed to seeing skyline photos in a static situation or
Mm,
highway photos where what's really going on is about what's going on the highway. I mean, for me, the that pickup truck is really kind of a really engaging because it's in the what is it the lower
foreground.
third? Yeah, well, it's in the
And it's bright
foreground and the
white.
third, and
It
it's bright white. Yeah, it's
demands
whiter.
attention.
Right. And if you were to place your copyright there or the name of a truck or anything you wanted in that big white space that is created between the two taillights, that's exactly where my eye would go.
Hmm. Okay. Well, it is white, and it is, I mean, I could definitely Photoshop that to a darker color. That wouldn't be hard at all. Would that make the image better for you if it were darker and less eye grabbing?
I don't think better is really something I'm looking for. I think what I'm looking for is and like I said, I'm not right about this. I'm just looking for the visual cues that are a little more familiar to me. I mean, I
Okay.
see I see this image, and at the very least, a familiar format.
Okay.
Because there's there's the idea that okay, someone's photographing from a car and they're going right through the windshield, or the car doesn't have a windshield and they're photographing directly over the hood,
Like a movie
and
truck or
yeah,
something.
yeah, like a movie truck or something, yeah, whatever, like whatever is between us and the cars ahead of us doesn't really
Okay.
exist, right, for us because it's not in the frame. But I think the skyline is nice, but there aren't. I don't know Los Angeles enough, and I haven't seen enough photographs of Los Angeles to specifically say, oh, okay, all three of those buildings are definitely from Los Angeles. Like maybe that one
The,
building in
the
the
the big
far
one on the
right.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that big far,
that's
like
the
that's the
U.S.
Superman
Bank
building, right, or
Tower.
something like
Yeah,
that.
the
Yeah,
U.S. Bank Tower. Yeah,
yeah.
they
So,
blew it up in Independence Day. The big one
oh
on the right.
no, right, but at this juncture, there are so many sky scrapers that are challenging the air superiority of that building that you don't really get a sense that that's the Los Angeles that those of us who don't live here
Uh,
would recognize immediately.
okay, fair enough.
But I mean, it's very adequate photo. It's not
Hmm.
nothing wrong with
Yeah,
it.
and that bottom space kind of lends itself for it's very advertising ish. You'd expect drive safe, drive sober, click it or ticket, something.
Right. I mean, yeah. There's something. Right. There's something. Right. Exactly. I mean, maybe it's a safety PSA. I would not be surprised if this were used for that
Mm,
kind of PSA, and you got lots of money for it. I would not be surprised at all.
yeah, that could work. Maybe I'll pitch it. I could definitely pitch it. All right, moving right along. Anything, Mr. Nelson? Are you good?
no, I'm
Nope.
good. Nope.
All right. Mardi Gras. Back to Fat Tuesday in San Diego. Pardon a little side boob there, but nothing too personal showing. Um, this was Mardi Gras San Diego. It's like a lot of men, a lot of men. and and a lot of beads. Yeah, there are a lot of beads.
Yeah, and there
Little
you go. You've
frame.
got the big Bud Light ad, so that really tells me that
There it is.
wherever this is,
Uh,
whether it looks like wherever this is, that's the
there's a
beverage
whole
of
lot
choice.
of there's a lot of beer going on.
Right, that's the beverage of choice for
Mm.
that event. Mhm.
Mm. Definite beads, boobs, and beer. Okay, moving right along. We filled the frame with that one. So, I guess wrapping it up. Spring is on the way, and the birds are singing, the bees are buzzing, and I kind of like greenery. So I just instead of letting the eye out of the frame, I have this thing with keeping the eye in the frame. Giving the eye something to do while it's there. Enjoying the colors and the greens and the pinks and all of that. Things are blooming out here. I know you guys still got snow on the ground back east, but um, I like filling the frame. And spring's coming, and you can go to the next one. This I just love the again, like our conversation last time. We talked about formatting, and it's a different aesthetic. I had that kind of squared, and then I backed off through it as wide as I could, and pulled this one out, and kind of enjoy the way it goes from kind of a box vision where where my vision is just kind of hitting the square, and this one is opens
Excuse
up
me.
some. No worries, no worries. God bless you. Gesundheit,
Hmm.
all of that. Feel better. And got the bee in flight. Get sense of animation. That's kind of importance, like a leading line. The bee can be sort of a pseudo leading line. And just fill the frame with color. This one I adjusted slightly so that there was more color on the leaves to the left, and capture more of the color of the flowers on the right, and use kind of the rule of thirds. Filling the right side with flowers, the middle with flowers, and the left side with this freakishly large bee. But yeah, that's my filling the frames talk
Okay,
for today.
I think it's a really nifty capture. I think uh, you talk a lot about the illustrative nature of photography. I would love to see that flower that's in the middle, similar to the ones that are on the surrounding it, and the ones that are surrounding it similar to the one in the middle, and we get a sense that the bee was on its way to sort of a bullseye, like a specific area.
The
You know,
Pacific flower.
yes.
Huh. Why?
Well, I think because if
For
there's that.
symmetry?
Oh well,
Sorry, I,
because
I
right
shouldn't
because
answer your question.
well
Go.
no
What
no
is
no
your
no
go?
I was gonna say because right now there's the one in the middle that looks different, right, than the others around it.
The one that's open or the one that's kind of closed?
It's on the right side. It's right in the middle. It actually looks like it's a little older than the others.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Oh, to the right,
Right,
the one that looks like it's dying almost. It's like a
right. The one that looks like
brownish.
it's right. That one that looks like it's dying
Uh,
because of its position in the frame relative
yeah,
to the position of the bee.
yeah.
They look like they're counterparts, and so
Oh,
I
okay.
think that if that one were as alive as the others and the others were a little bit dead, you get a greater sense of the idea that the bee was
Ah, I see what you're saying. Right,
headed toward the one living
right,
flower. You
right.
know what I
It's
mean?
no longer spring, fall, or autumn. It's time for the blossom. I'm going for the blossom.
Right, right.
Yes.
So
Okay.
there would be a bit of a story to the quest of the bee trying to get to the one um,
One
flower
bright
where they can get
living.
pollen to go back to the hive and save the hive, that kind of thing.
Gotcha, gotcha. That's a very cool observation. I like that idea. Again, this looks like a job for Photoshop. That could be done. That's interesting idea. I like that. That would definitely make it more narrative, much more of a story. You know, picture taken telling 1,000 words. Definitely. Yeah, I like that a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. You good, Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, I'm just looking how the flower that is the one that is the topic of discussion very much mimics the actual physical shape of the bee.
Interesting. It does.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, no,
See, that's why I like to. I mean, one reason why I don't like to title, which is nothing wrong with it. If you choose to, that's fine. That's your thing. But like now, I show you guys an image, and I don't say, the joys of spring or something. Uh, but you guys see stuff that I didn't see, and that's the part of the greatest joy of photography, because I'll shoot something, and I have an idea of about what I'm shooting. But then I show it to somebody, and they say, "Wow, this speaks to me." I was like, "Well, why?" And the things that they say either never occurred to me, or now that I hear their explanation of it, it's coming out of them, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, and that's a big joy for me. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Yeah.
okay. Uh, I'm presenting next.
Yeah. And
Oh,
that's Fill the Frame. Mr. Nelson, fill the
okay,
frame.
okay. I think I'm next. Nope, that's Mark. That was Mark. I'm
I
sorry.
guess I'm next.
You
Okay,
can
each
go
one,
ahead,
yeah,
Mark. Go
yeah,
ahead.
sure. Each one of the photos that you're going to see
Yeah.
are the full frame of the camera as it was seen through the viewfinder, and this is a street photo. Obviously, it's like a kid, just getting ready to cross the street, and it's in the age of COVID, so they're wearing a mask. That's really it.
Oh,
Second one,
it's
well,
an
that's
ice
another
cream
one.
cone.
Now, here's the thing. I should have probably gone turned the camera a little to the left so I could get that cherry picker that's in the upper right hand area, well, the middle right hand area, out of the frame. But then the couple would not have been where they are. And so I thought this was a really nice photo. This was done before the what do they call that? The vessel was closed. And this was sort of at the beginning of fall, and people were still going there, and it was a destination.
That's New
And
York's vessel, right?
that is New York's vessel. They've since shut it down for safety reasons, but previously it was open to the public. You just had to get a ticket to go up. And you go to the
Hmm.
next one. And this square, when you see two square images in this presentation, you'll see that those two were not cropped. They were cropped in camera. The format of the camera was square at the time of the image capture. So, this is just a Lincoln at the what do you call it? The TWA hotel at
Hmm.
JFK Airport.
I
So
like the perspective of it.
I'm a big car fan.
Hmm.
You put a couple
Wow.
of people in there, you've got a really great portrait.
Hmm.
That looks like a stock photo.
Yeah, right. It
That's
does.
cool.
Yeah, there was a guy who was just walking dogs as I was walking around taking pictures in the fall. This is Prospect Park. He was walking his dogs. So as he passed, I noticed that to me it looked very cinematic. And at the time, uh, I was the format was had been switched to the widescreen 16 by 9. You had mentioned that earlier, Ken.
Hmm.
So the format of the camera has been switched to 16 by 9, and so that's what I got.
Mm. Okay.
Once again, another square. This one is a little bit more contrived. I walked directly up to the walk don't walk sign. I noticed that the bus was sitting in the bus stop right there, and I just took a look at what was going on in the frame, and there was one way, and it's on Broadway. It's the Upper West Side, and that's really it.
Was the intent to have the bus in the frame or not?
Very, very much so. I was using it as a just a graphical element, for the parallel lines of the roof versus the parallel line. The lines of the roof are parallel to the bottom part of the "Don't Walk" sign.
Got it.
I like that you fill the frame with the blackness, that ominous red popping out of all that blackness is kind of captivating for me.
Thank you.
So what does fill the frame mean for you?
Well, for me, fill the frame is
Or what
basically
would
the
you what
idea.
would you tell somebody that was shooting that
Well,
fill the
I'd say,
frame?
I would say if you're using a camera that has a specific format to it, try to fill that frame as you see it through the viewfinder with information that serves the photo. You know, basically, if you've got a 35 millimeter style frame, fill that area with information. Try not to show information that is unnecessary unless you know later on that it's going to be for publication. There's going to be text or an inset or something else that's going to be in that area. But try to make sure that when you frame your image, if you don't have any of those concerns uh, ahead of time, try to fill the frame with information or at least with design elements that will serve your photo rather than uh, distract. You don't want to find yourself in a situation like I was with the photograph of the vessel, where you find yourself saying, "Well, I should have moved a little to the left or a little to the right." You want to get as close to getting the image right in the camera as possible if you're photographing without any prior knowledge of editorial graphical design constraints or
Or
requirements.
intent? Yeah.
Or our
Okay.
intention.
I like the vessel shot, the way you kind of clipped it, because everybody tries to get, um, all of it in frame. Or you could have, like Kenny was saying, you cropped in to fill the frame with all the design work. But seeing it the way you captured it made it unusual, which is
Well,
not a bad thing.
yeah, I think it's so unique. I shouldn't say so unique. It is unique. It's unique, and in that way, it's very distinctive. And there's no reason for us to see the entire uh, vessel itself. You
Hmm.
know, if you're, if you're aware of it being in existence as a tourist destination, you know, you see that there isn't anything else that I know of that quite mimics that.
Hmm.
And I think the fact that there are very modern buildings in the background of the vessel
Hmm.
kind of give you a clue that it's in a big city somewhere. Yeah,
Right. But
it's
it
a
also plays with scale. Go ahead. What are you saying?
yeah. No, I was gonna say it's not really mysterious, right? And those the couple at the bottom give you a sense of scale. If they weren't there, and actually the people on that first landing, that second
Hmm.
landing rather,
Yeah.
they give you a sense of scale. If you didn't have those individuals and those couples in the frame, you'd
Uh-huh.
find yourself kind of saying, well, how big are those steps? How
Yeah.
tall are those walls?
Right.
You know,
They
Hmm.
look cut out. That's what I was saying too. In addition to adding scale to the image, it looks almost fake. It's like, how are they really there? It looks like you cut that out like on a postcard and put it in the frame.
no, it's all captured.
Oh no.
It,
Oh no, I'm sure. I'm sure. But I'm just saying the way you captured it changes it from just a straight shot, and the way it fills the frame is looks like a architectural pineapple.
right, right, right.
Okay. You got the
Right, and
LA
I think
colors,
and
the
I think
gold and
there's
purple.
one more, right?
Go ahead.
Right, and then this is part of the Black Lives Matter uh, mural that was done at Fulton Street in Brooklyn, New York. The
Oh
restoration was
wow.
painted in front. That was last summer.
Wow.
Since then, uh, the traffic in the snow have removed a good number of the names that are in this mural.
Wow.
So it's unfortunate, perhaps, we'll be lucky enough to see people painting it again this summer as some sort of enduring monument. But I went over there and I took photographs of that. Well, actually, I went over there for other reasons, and then while I was there, I made sure to get photographs of that because you just couldn't just pass it.
Mm.
And so I took this particular photo because Amadou Diallo, I'm very familiar with his story. That what happened with him was here in New York, and you see Eric Garner and Trayvon Martin, and it's we know what's going on. That's kind of out of the scope of what we're talking about now, but it's just that these were all individuals who were slain unnecessarily, and so the mural, I captured the mural, and it's not there anymore. So there's a sense of I'm very glad that I was able to do that.
But you captured it in this particular fashion, in this particular way, in this particular angle, on this particular day.
Yes, that's the most important aspect of that. I agree that even with how do we talked about this a little bit. How do you make someone else's artwork a little bit yours? And then so it's a little crafty, to sort of line up the left side of the A with the left side of the frame. But I think it's enough for us to kind of try to figure out what's going on. Why is there's just giant letter A, and then if you're not familiar with the case, you go, what is what is this? Is this a word? Is this a name? And then maybe if you give up a little, you kind of search around for something that's more legible, and then people go, oh, I see Eric Garner. That's more familiar, more recent, and a little bit more national. And then it becomes you start walking through, and then you see the guy on the far right, and as Greg had mentioned, I just didn't want to show Sky again. Currently on my Facebook page, there's a cover photo with Breonna Taylor, excuse me, and there's Sky in the back. As you go from her name all the way to the horizon, there's a police car that was guarding. Ironically, the police were making sure no one damaged these names while the paint was curing, and they were there, and there was Sky above them. So.
Oh, nice. I mean, I like cinematically or photographically. I like of course, the big A in the foreground, but that you didn't try to shoot it square on. Get a ladder and shoot above so you can read it. Like you're reading a page in a book. The idea that it's askew lends to the idea of the injustice that had happened to these people. So that I mean, thematically and visually, I think they match up, and they work really well. And filling the frame, you definitely did that.
Thank you.
Sure thing, Mr. Nelson.
Oh, okay.
Fill that frame.
Yeah. Well, I will just go through my presentation or my series of images and just, say, fill the frame. When photographing people, it's very difficult to fill the frame when you're photographing a single person, because they do not fit most of the formats. And then, of course, there's this idea of what percentage of filling the frame is filling the frame. Is filling the frame 80% legitimate enough or good enough where it's acceptable within our context for today, where 80% of the frame is filled, or is there a need to have 100% of the frame filled up? And that's sort of a dilemma when you think about it, because when you say fill the frame, if you were to take it literally, that means every square inch of the frame should be filled up with something that is relative to the image. Now, right, so that means in this particular instance, I would assume that his whole body would need to fill the frame in order to satisfy the needs for filling the frame. But of course, I know that that's not the case because it's just technically impossible to do that. So So what you do is you say, okay, filling the frame means.
I was just trying to say, well, yeah, what does filling the frame mean to you? Because it sparks for me, but in a portrait sense.
Yeah, filling the frame, right. So filling the frame to me means satisfying information within the frame, enough to tell the story that you're trying to tell, or try to show something that you're trying to show. In this particular instance, and again, you guys know I'm a street photographer, so I don't have control over much of what happens outside, but I work with the situations that are giving me. And when working this close, I was right up against this person's toe. So this is a wide angle 28. So I'm right in front of him, standing no more than maybe 2.5 feet away. And so using that to just get as close as possible, and changing the vertical angle slightly askewed left to right to see if the angles work better. So, you'll hold the camera straight up and you'll aim at him and you say, okay, that works. Okay, click. Then you say, okay, let me see what happens when I just turn the camera 3 degrees left or 3 degrees right. Does it work any better? So those are the things I continue to do. And I think I was standing in front of this person for like maybe 7 minutes, and I was working that frame, and I must have made about 15 different exposures. And of the 15, this was the one that I chose as one of the primary picks. There's other ones that work too, but this was one of them that I think was the first. This showed itself to be the first edit. And we'll go on with another one. Well, actually, I didn't mean to do that, did I? I apologize. That was 3.
Of course.
That was 2. I'm sorry.
Well, one thing about that image that
Uh-huh.
a technical thing,
Hmm.
um, the importance of an aspherical lens, a flat lens, so that you don't get like his foot would have been like way distorted and stretched to the left of the frame, or his hand would have been distorted and stretched with a non-aspherical lens. And that's something that, I mean, those who know, and those who are, yeah, you know, getting into the steps up of photography, that's a consideration that you really want to take a look at, because a flat lens will give you an image like that. You see his foot isn't torn, but you'll know when you see somebody's work who isn't using a spherical or flat edge to edge lens. The edges, people will be leaning out, or they'll be distorted. It looks kind of funny, but I just thought I'd put it in there. I like how flat this is.
Mm, okay. Wow. I
That
apologize.
would
It was.
that would be the 11-16 zoom lens.
Okay. Well, yeah, but you can even have an aspherical uh, super wide lens, that doesn't distort. But then after a certain point, yeah, they're going to get distortion, like like an 8 millimeter, or whatever, even a 12 possibly. So, but I've seen the distortion on 18 millimeter lenses. It doesn't have to be that wide. But yeah, okay. Anyway, moving right along. Sorry, Ken. Sorry to
Oh,
interrupt.
that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, this was one I wanted to show you also now. So same place, same, not different day, different lens. Okay.
What's the
So
difference in the lenses? Why was
well,
that?
the other one was a 28. This is a 50 millimeter lens.
This is
So
50.
this is a 50 on a 24 on a 35 millimeter format. And so, of course, you're saying, okay, as you're photographing people, you're looking at what people do, and you're waiting for gestures to happen. You're waiting for things to go through. And of course, I'm standing again. It's one of
Peak
those. And again, this is a
peak
Black Lives
intensity.
Matter. This is a Black Lives Matter rally, and the same as
Uh,
the other one was. And this is one of the speakers, one of the organizers, and he's rallying the crowd. And a couple of things that were going on through my head when I do this, which is, okay, people's emotions are being expressed. And in the first frame and in this one, gesture is very important. Hand movements are very important. And in this particular instance, in the beginning of the rallies, there was this idea that you really don't want to photograph someone in the face and have them and post a picture. And so what I was doing was I would say, okay, I'll obscure the person's face and use it, but still get the emotion of the rally. And so
hmm.
you don't see this person's face, but yet that they're there, and they're making, and they're physically involved with their presentation.
Hmm. So you do look for like peak action.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. That's basically what it's there for. It's kind of weird because you're standing there for 15 minutes and you're waiting for something to spark it, and you have to respond in a split second, or else it's gone.
Uh,
Or and so, or you could sort of not. I don't burst shoot, but what I do is I shoot three in a row, right? And it's not burst shooting because I don't go
right,
click click click. I'll go
right.
click click click, and those will be the differences that'll either be before, the after, or at peak action.
Okay.
I think with this one, I would prefer to see it as a horizontal. His leg I find very distracting and not nearly as interesting as the hand gesture of his left hand. And I know you explained why his face is covered, and I guess in the age of COVID, he might have worn a mask, a thinner mask also. So I'm not worried so much about that. But that left hand, the gesture, it's kind of got the hand of God, the Michelangelo's hand of God, and it's like he is both Adam and God simultaneously. So I'd love to see the like a horizontal of that where it crops just below the cable of the microphone.
Mhm.
Some of the other information, I mean, it's nice to see he's wearing camouflage. The t-shirt's good. I'm just not sure that the information where his leg is there is really adding more to it. I mean, we know he's kneeling. I guess that
Or
that would
is
be
he?
it.
He
No,
could
he's
be
not.
standing.
He's actually standing up.
Okay, then it's not adding anything then, because now I'm confused, thinking
Oh,
maybe he's
see,
kneeling.
now you messed up the picture. Now all I could see is this weird looking leg.
Yeah, and right. You can say that, you know, depending on how you're approaching your photography or how you view when you're looking at things, whether things are going to be exactly the way you'd like them to be, and for me that just doesn't happen. So I accept things
Hmm.
as they are. In this
Yeah.
particular instance, the knee is fine for me. I have no qualms about it. Because I'd rather have the knee than not, because I'd rather not crop into him above the knee, so therefore I cut
Right,
him off in half. You
right.
know, so I'd rather have the knee, and it sort of reinforces what's happening with the upper part of the body for me, because he's moving forward with his hands, he's moving forward with the knee.
Hmm.
So
His first knee stepped upon his knee is he's stepping up on something with
like
his
a
left foot.
speaker.
No, he's actually
Like he's in the well in
he's in the well
Washington Square, right?
of the square. Yeah,
The
he's in the
fountain.
well of the fountain. Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So
standing
he's
up
in,
on the
so he's
edge,
in the got it. So he's in the fountain, and then he's got his leg on the
on the
surround.
ledge. Yes, on the
Got
ledge.
it. Got it. Okay. Right. See that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Right,
of
but
course he's standing
I mean,
above you, so he's standing about 10 feet, 12 feet in the air, 12, 10 feet, 8, 10, 11 feet in the air,
Right.
and he's
Right.
above you. So
Right.
how do you make that work? You know,
Well,
it's
a camera pole.
yeah. I was gonna say, Capper would say get closer, or these days with DSLRs, people would just say, oh, I'd get a 70-200 and get as
right.
close as I want. And
Oh,
you
you
know,
could put the camera on a camera pole
No,
and
yeah, yeah,
no,
no, that's
yeah,
fine. That's good.
tilt it
That's a good
down.
idea. But I don't have those things with me, so you sort of make do with what you got, and
Or a unipod. Do you have a unipod?
oh yeah, monopod, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Monopod, whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, just put it
yeah,
up there either on a timer or a remote.
yeah.
Clickety
Then you
click.
don't know what you're getting because you're not looking through a camera.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Say la vie.
Yeah, let's move on, guys.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Fill in the frame.
Love
Man,
it.
right?
Love it.
How do you know you're filling the frame when people are moving all about, right? And it's not really,
It's
what's
nice.
interesting, filling the frame is not necessarily about, well, okay, let me rephrase that. Filling the frame happens in the edit, okay? Because in this particular
Maybe.
instance,
But
right?
go ahead.
Okay, as you can see in this particular frame, it's a slow shutter drag. People are moving about.
Hmm.
You have a sense of motion, but you really don't know where the motion's going. You know someone's moving into the frame. You know people are moving out of the frame, and you got about what within this frame? I think there are about maybe 20 people, right? And you have
Yeah.
no control over them. and they're going to make something happen. So the only thing you do is you drag the shutter and you say, okay, because, and the fact is the exposure required that I drag the shutter at
Uh-huh.
maybe, I think a half a second to maybe 1 second. And this is the relative thing of it. Now, I've shot during this time, I took about maybe 6 different exposures, and they're really, really different, but the framing is still the same. The top of the building ends at the top, and the people in the front end at the beginning. But the frame at the bottom third is either empty or full because there's either people in the part of the frame or they're not. And so when I came to the edit, I said, well, I like this part of the bottom frame because it fills it up better than no people in it.
Hmm.
Well, I know this type of imagery is part of your milieu, and I like that a lot. And I think you've got another sort of understanding of what pre-COVID New York was like, just in some of these, landscape slash street photos that you've done over the years that really show the hustle and bustle through the blur and the impressive uh, building that we tend to walk through.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Just for reference, this photograph is from 1999.
Okay.
Okay, so it's way pre-COVID.
It sounds
Well,
like pre-digital too, but I won't.
Pre-digital too. Yeah. Yeah.
man, I think this is one of the coolest images I've seen of Times Square. It definitely does capture the energy of it, the crowds, and the reason why people go to Times Square. The buildings, the canyon, the concrete canyons. But I mean, on the fill the frame thing, I think it would have been like just as effective if you like tilted down and got their feet and cropped it just about to the top of the building. It would have been all about the people, and it would have totally changed the image. But it would have said Times Square. But this image, this is and I've seen a lot of image of Times Square, but this is one of the coolest images of Times Square I've seen.
And I
Yeah,
think,
that was my initial reaction. I was like, it's pretty good.
yeah, I'm just really in love with this negative space right here.
Yeah,
Where?
The
Oh, I
two
see it.
blues, the
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah,
sky,
giant
yeah.
the giant W.
the giant, yeah, 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 the giant W. It's really, yeah, yeah. That's why, yeah, I wouldn't change this image for most part for myself.
I wouldn't either. I think it's marvelous, and I really think that you've got a like another set of a show. Yeah.
Yeah,
Marvelous, simply marvelous.
yeah. So this is the new Moynihan Train Hall,
Correct.
and I've gone there maybe 3 times already, and taking various aspects of it and saying, okay, and I was looking at this earlier today, and it says, does it fill the frame? I said, yeah, because I think it fills the frame in a unique way, and I mean, it tells both the story of the building and the story of people and how they fit into the structure. But I also, it's just you're filling the frame with information, and
Hmm.
every part of this frame is relative to the train hall, but relative to how you're going to feel when you go there,
Hmm.
you know, because you're seeing basically the whole thing in totality from top
Yeah.
to bottom. All
This is
right.
post-COVID too, right?
This is this is in COVID. This is during COVID. So
I didn't mean post-COVID.
this
It
is
ain't over yet. Yeah,
actually
but yeah.
this is in January. This was
Hmm.
photographed in January this year.
I'd like to see
And
that
It's
place
very
filled,
nice.
but go ahead. Sorry.
But I think that brings it together. Of course, there's horizontal lines going back and forth, but I think there's this purple color that's permeating above the canyons here that I think is so cool that sort of makes you feel like the top and the bottom are connected in a way. I love that lighting.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well,
I like that the
go
way.
ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
Um,
you go ahead, Greg.
like, cause for me, my visual thing is like locking corners when I can. The
Uh-huh.
way you have the
Yep.
those beams at the top of
Yep.
the frame,
Yep.
blocking the left and right corner. It's
Yep.
like almost like the photograph is like structurally anchored,
Yep.
visually structurally anchored. I like
Yep.
that a lot. And the purple, I'd like to see you pump that purple up in Photoshop a little bit. But I see that. Very nice. Very nice. Go ahead. Sorry, Mark.
No, I was going to say for me, I can't help but think how much this is reminiscent of all of the Harry Potter franchise, media, because there was such a big
Hogwarts.
deal over the train station being 9.5. And so now,
It's
because
11/12.
right, exactly. You know, they've made it look like a fraction rather than, you know, gate 11, gate 12,
Yeah.
track 11, track 12.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, I think when they were designing it, they probably kind of gave you a little bit of this, you know,
Whimsy.
the whimsy, exactly. And so, you know, it really is charming. And I'm sure a lot of the people who use this station are people who at this point probably grew up with Harry Potter, if not the movies, certainly the books.
What was the
So,
name of that station?
oh goodness, I know they were going to Hogwarts, but I don't remember what the name of the station
Huh.
was.
Neither
Okay.
do
All right. We're obviously
I
not
did not
Potter
grow up.
fans. It's a good.
I had to osmose Harry Potter
You got
media.
kids of the Potter age,
Well,
no?
you know what? You know what was really weird? My wife and I went to a Barnes and Noble years ago before we had kids, and we had no idea. We went on a Friday night, and it was late. Was it Friday? No, it wasn't Friday. We went in the middle of the week, and it was late. It must have been about 9:30,
Date
10
night.
o'clock.
Date night.
Yeah, 9:30, 10 o'clock. We went to Barnes and Noble, and uh, there were all these kids and
Hmm.
their parents, and the kids were dressed up like they were dressed up like sorcerers and wizards and witches, but they didn't look evil. They just everybody had round glasses. You know, what's going on? It's a new Harry Potter book. The new Harry Potter.
I.
It's gonna be. And we were. What's this? And then we later on we found out, of course, but they were all lined up to get an opportunity to buy
A new
Harry
book.
Potter. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
You're
So
my kind of guy, Mark. Nerd date night. I love it. Take my girl to Barnes and Noble. That works every time.
yeah, it was years ago. Yeah.
Hey, nerds
So
rule, man.
one of
Oh,
the
go ahead.
things about shooting in the street is that one of the things that I practice as much as I can is, getting as close as possible, always being close, right? When you're shooting with a 28 millimeter lens, you're always as want to be as close as possible. So sometimes things just happen where you're just there. In this particular instance, I was close by, but I could not go here and walk over to this particular scene, hang out for a few minutes, and see what transpires. And of course, and if anyone knows, this is the naked cowgirl, and so
There's a
this
naked
time
cowgirl in New York now?
there is a naked cowgirl in New York, yes,
Oof.
and this is her, and this is during a protest rally,
Is
and
she
she's there
flipping
in Times
somebody
Square.
off?
Pardon?
Is she flipping somebody off?
Yes, she is.
Oh
Yes,
my.
that is her. Yeah, that's her. Yeah, every frame that I took during this particular situation, she's flipping. Yeah, yeah, that's her style. But what's interesting is that I think it's the reactions of those other people who are in the background that are kind of like more interesting. The look on this person's eyes, and they have their own shtick that they're going through, but that's a different story.
Okay.
But
Seems like whoever they're talking to, it seems like everybody has a similar opinion.
well, yeah, I mean, she's camera ready, so she's always camera ready, and this is the way she responds.
Hmm.
So again, she just happened. I mean, again, as close as possible. It's this, yeah, yeah, as close as possible. Um,
It's kind of like a daylight Ouija photo, you know, where everyone is looking elsewhere, and you know, and you're capturing their reaction to something that's off screen.
yeah,
It's
Hmm.
engaging.
yeah. In
So why
terms,
didn't you crop out that deep area on the left? Why didn't you
uh,
just pan a little right? Why didn't you?
uh,
Because I mean, as far as filling the frame, that would have kept my eye in on them.
With all
okay.
four figures, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't remember if I was actually looking through camera when I was taking this photograph.
Oh, okay.
The where the camera angle is, either I was bending down, but I don't remember if I was bending down because, or whether I was shooting from the hip in this particular instance because I didn't want to change the situation by aiming
Okay.
through camera.
Right. Right.
Uh,
I think what's really very very much Pratt-esque in this photo is, you know, the hand gesture goes directly to the shoulder blade of the other, and the shoulder of the other person in the
Mhm.
back, and then their arm goes to the lightning bolt,
Yep.
and the lightning bolt is
Yep.
one area, but then it
Yes.
also goes to a second lightning bolt,
Yep.
and then you get this real treat when you travel. Your eye travels to the right, and the other individual has their hand on the lightning bolt that, in a way,
Yep.
is very similar in a gesture to the original gesture that caught our attention in the first
Yep.
place.
Now, granted, I don't remember paying attention to it consciously, but I
Mm-hmm.
would figure that that is something I would have consciously,
Right.
unconsciously.
That would
Uh,
have been the part that made you go click.
yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Let me move on because I got two more to show you real quick, and just to showing you people, but now let's just show you landscape. And what do you do in terms of filling up the landscape? You got big sky and you got big land, and basically they tend to be relatively, I would say, easy, depending on where you're at and whether you're interested in the landscape or not. This is I tend to actually really like this hill, but that's just me. But I like the way
The hill
things.
on the right.
I like both of them. I like the way things move. I like the way the road travels and moves you through the road. So I think it leads you through it. So I'm filling up the frame with landscape is relatively easy, but um, does it appeal to you is the question, or does it appeal to you as a photographer? And if it
Well,
does, I say do it.
well, you're
You know,
making some real choices here. I mean, that's
yeah,
and the funny thing about this photo is I'm presuming that it's all level and this is what it looks like, as opposed to you tilted it a little bit or you tilted it or you didn't. But I'm going to presume it's all level and that this is how these hills, how they lay in that space.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. Yep. I think yeah. For the most part, I was probably most likely using a tripod. I don't recall exactly, but I'm most likely using a tripod and being
Hmm.
judicious and being level.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure you are.
and it almost, I hate to not no, not that I hate to, but if the sky wasn't there, it changes the whole visual meaning or structure of the image. It becomes like a grounded, almost, I would say hopeless, but a desolate look. But the sky is like almost necessary,
Oh, it's
you know,
definitely necessary. You got those layers
mm,
of gray. Yeah, I love it.
for space, yeah, depth and all of that stuff.
Well,
But it, cinematically, if you crop the sky out, it totally has a totally different feel. It's almost like you're trapped.
right. Well, the
Yeah.
mist shows the space between the objects, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. It shows the space
Mm.
between the objects, right?
Okay. And I think shoot, that was my last. Was that?
Is
Oh, I
that
had
your
one
last
more.
one?
No, I thought I had one more. There it is. There it is. And of course, landscape again, but in this particular instance, just slightly different. Uh, Instead of being far away from the vista, up close and personal with the actual physical things of the land. In this particular instance, vegetation.
All right.
Um, and so, filling up the frame with vegetation, giving a little glimpse of what the vegetation is surrounded by, or what the vegetation surrounds, is kind of interesting as well. But not giving
Yeah.
off exactly what it might be because it's not clearly in focus.
What is that at the top of the frame? The medium gray area with the dark gray.
Yeah, those are actual.
Wow.
They're charcoal kilns, burning charcoal in the southwest of California. This is
Okay.
Death Valley. Uh,
Yeah.
the
See, I was the chiaroscuro. That's the art term or the drawing term for the lights and darks
yeah,
and blending them, or
yeah,
sfumato for the
For the
distance. I always
mist,
want to
yes.
call it, yeah, for the
Atmosphere, right?
canyon shot. Yeah, the atmospheric sfumato. I always think, wait a second, smoke. What is that word?
No, no,
And then
it's
the
just fun.
chiaroscuro for this, the lights and darks, and the way that blends in there. I was like, what is that? Oh my gosh! But yeah, definitely. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt,
no, no,
Aaron. Go
no,
ahead.
no. I mean, I in this trip, when I went, I was moved by this image, and I still am to this day moved by this image because it's probably one of the most important images to me personally. Visually, it's probably one of the most visually stimulating images I took when I was there.
The contrast is it makes it really pop.
Yeah, yeah. It for me, it's emotional.
In
Uh,
what way?
Visually, it's an emotional. Visually, when I look at this, I get emotional.
Why?
Uh, Sense and place and time, being there by myself. Um, you know, um, the history of the land out there. You know,
Hmm.
the West, and how the West was settled, and
Hmm.
the
Indian
borax
country.
mining and all the mining that took place in California and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
all
Still
these
going on.
abandoned mines that are around there, and just
Hmm.
things of that nature, and how rough it would have been. And then when you're such a city person and you go where you have rocks, gravel, dust, dirt, and nothing but that, and you have little vegetation, and you're like
Hmm.
the contrast between city and this, and you're like, oh, this is what Earth really looks like, you
Uh-huh.
know.
So, Ken, when
And
you say the history of that land, are you talking about the the history of the native peoples, or are you talking about the history of the expansion, or the history of the highway? I mean, what part of the history of that land are you?
in this particular instance, it's the history of the how the land was used to move into the industrial age.
Okay,
How things were mined. Borax was mined. Gold was mined. Not in this particular instance, but in everything
Gold,
else that you
silver, a
can
lot of
mine was
ores.
mined. You
A lot
know,
of the ores
and
are out there.
so and this is how it was. Now, this was a charcoal kiln, and they would kiln charcoal, but I don't, and forgive me, but I don't remember why. But there was a specific reason why the towns around there used this. And forgive me, I'm sorry, but
They were
I,
probably smelting metals
yeah,
because you have to heat the rock to get the metal out of it.
mm, yeah. That's all I got,
very
guys.
nice. I understand. I understand that it's a you go like this is I'm making a photographic trek to a specific place to
Mm.
get images and I'm just really doing my thing. I get it.
Yeah, and you
Mm.
hope you come away with something that is meaningful, and this sort of solidifies that meaningfulness to me in
Very
accomplishing
good.
this particular mission.
And you're culturally aware of the region, and that can add more to it.
Yeah,
You know, not just
yeah.
emotionally. I thought you like fell in a thorn bush or something, and you
No,
remember it as a
no,
painful.
no, no. Yeah,
Sorry.
and I think you guys know that anytime you're out, when you're in such a place that is so quiet at times, and you're by yourself, you can become very reflective, very fast, and very deeply.
Mm.
Good for
I
you.
look for rattlesnakes personally, but I get you.
Yeah, that was nothing was happening there.
I don't know.
Okay.
There's probably a McDonald's down the road, Greg. You didn't have to go for the rattlesnakes.
Yeah. Oh man. I
Man.
remember when we were in Israel, and we went to this park and we're walking around. It's like, where is this thing? And there came up on a sign that said, "Beware of jaguars." Like, okay, gotta go.
Okay,
Well,
guys, we've ran
that's
over
it.
by 12 minutes,
Way
so if you
over.
close it out, man.
Really?
All
Okay.
right, yeah. So that's it for Fill the Frame. I'm Greg Claycourt. This is Kenny Nelson. That's Mark Skinner, and we are Three Black Cats. So we do this pretty regularly. Tune in, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified, and that's it for this week. Fill that frame. Keep shooting.